Welcome back. Let's just jump right in. All right, so after a few days of thinking, I decided that I was going to use custom plates for the frame boxing here and not ones I could buy from eBay or out of a catalog. So after you watch this video, if you decide you want a set of these, I will have the plans for each piece, which are pretty simple. I will have them over on Patreon. So if you feel like hopping over there and taking a look, go for it. I have not test fit these yet. So let's take a look and see how close I got. Now you can see none of these have this curve here in them because I did not have a good way of measuring that and then drawing it up for it to be cut out nicely. I just squared it off and we'll do a line, you know, kind of like that. And then if you can see right here, there's this portion of the factory frame rail. It ends right here and wraps around the bottom of this, all this sheet, and ties into the body of the car. We're going to end this plate. This is going to get cut something like that, right? And this end is going to butt up against this, and this little piece here will go right up in the back here. And we're letting the front run long. And I may trim off extra later if we need to. So that's the outside. This one will go on the bottom. And we're going to bend that. I mean, look at this. I can bend it by hand like that if I want to. So bending this, well, I guess I just bent it. Bending this to fit is not going to be much of a hassle. And it's going to come right down here to this point too. I hope you can see that from up there. So someone's going to say, all right, well, obviously 1/8 inch is not looking strong enough. A lot of stuff you can buy is 3/16 or quarter. Again, like I said before, the reasoning for the thinner material here is the roll cage will be landing here at 1 or 2 spots. So this box structure we're going to make will be supported. And back here, either some kind of torque box, or we will be doing a tube brace to these plates. So strength will not be an issue. We're knocking a little bit of weight off of this setup by using the thinner material. All right, now the inside is going to be more tricky. Well, not really. More tricky. How am I going to get in there and work on this? So this is going to sit here. It's going to tuck all the way into the back. You'll notice this little tab is sticking out. And it ends here at this opening and it extends past this opening here because I drew this so I can make a left and a right basically out of one part, and then I'll just trim this because that side does not quite measure the same as this side for whatever reason. So maybe I should start by just trimming this little corner off and squeezing this plate in tight so we can see how well it fits. Yeah, I still have to come back and fix this up. We'll do that today, if I remember. So I know it's a little tough to see with the black firewall and the dark steel here, but that is tucked right in. Looks like we're resting here, so after we cut this down, it'll sit flatter against there, but let's see, this side is a tight fit. Top and side. That's a good sign. So we'll come in here, I think, and trim this to match the curve under here. We'll trim the back how we want it. I eyeballed it a little bit, but we're going to come in and cut right up close to the end of the line here. We're going to actually remove most of the line. This plate's wide enough that it won't sit on the side of the side plates. It will sit underneath them a little bit. So even if we remove just a little too much, this plate should be wide enough to make up for that. We won't have a big gap. Now I don't have a plasma cutter, so I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna cut this curve nicely, and I'll go figure that out, and then I'll show you what I did. Did a little test fit, and it's pretty close. I'll just trim that up with a flap wheel on the grinder. When I was removing that section, I want to arc up towards the top and put a curve in there to reduce the amount of stress concentrator areas we have in this panel. I kind of wish I would have angled this section here to match the firewall of the car. I don't know if it's really necessary. This is already longer than a lot of the panels you buy. So I think this will be okay. And I don't think we're going to fully weld this seam. I don't think we need to. Most of our strength is in the bottom and the top. And we'll probably put a couple of holes in the side to plug weld. Of course, we got to put a big hole for that oval shape factory locator hole that's in there. We'll use that for some measurements later, so we don't want to cover that up. But let's go see how it fits up. Looks good from here. This seam is nice and tight. You bring the light in here. Oh yeah, that's a tight fit. I got lucky on that. First try. I didn't grind that to fit. We're just right up against that flange. And then the top here, looks like it's tight against the firewall. Of course, that's gonna be fun to weld later, but well. Okay, you may have heard me talk about stress concentrators a couple of times now. This is a stress concentrator. This 90-degree inside corner. This one is a lot, will concentrate a lot less stress. You can do this at home with paper, with metal, with whatever. This is just some cracker box. If I take this and pull, I'm trying to pull these apart as straight as I can. It's going to tear there really easy. If I take this and pull, oh man, it took a lot more force. You see it took, I had to pull so hard that when it did rip, I ripped it completely in half. This takes more force to pull apart than this does. Plain and simple. Okay, so let's just look on the frame here. Anywhere you see sharp corners, you have a stress concentrator. And when there's pull on that, it will rip quickly. Now this, I tried to weld down this a little, round it off a little bit. Same here. You saw me notch these guys here. I didn't do a very good job. I could still round out that inside corner a little more. I think it'll be okay because this material should be strong enough. But basically anywhere where you have a sharp inside corner, it will tear a lot quicker than a rounded one. That's why you see factory panels with so many curves and so few places where it's a sharp joint. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I put this front end together, as I'm making my own custom plates. I don't want places that have a lot of stress concentration, because that's going to be where we have our first failure. Well, most likely anyway. Just something to consider for the future. So I'm trying to figure out a good way of transferring this slot behind here onto this plate, and I think I'm going to try this. It's a piece of clay bar for detailing. If I can press on it and it'll stick, hey, look at that. Realize that if I press really hard when I cut through this, it should leave some lines in the metal, right? Oh yeah. Okay. So we'll make our slot around that. Can you see it? See the etch lines I got? Again, I'm only cutting this out so we can see that original factory oval hole in each frame rail for some measurements later on. Alright, so I put this on here. Notice it rocks a little bit. I found that right here, it's a high spot. So I really wanted to try the ball peen hammer first, but I can't find the frickin' thing. So who's going to tell me this is a bad idea? Alright, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm going for this top line. I'm pretty sure that's how I want to do that. Let's try it. All right, moment of truth. Let's try it out. Woo, we are really close. I think it's actually sitting high. I could have taken more material off of it. That's interesting. No, that makes total sense. This is sitting on top of this flange. On the other side, the plate is sitting, so the bottom is about flush with this surface. So, I guess I got to take like a 1/16 to an 1/8 off this entire section here. Okay, let's do that. All right, I took off right around an 1/8 of an inch from here to here. I don't want this gap to be too big. It's fair size right now. Of course, we can fill that with weld. It's not a big deal. But I don't want big amounts of air between these because, well, just not quite as strong. If we can avoid it, we will. If we can't, well, that's the way it is. And you can see right here, we're right up against this flange. So we're good here. We're basically touching here on the firewall. Nice tight fit all the way down there. Now, I think we'll lay on our bottom piece. Oh, we still gotta take that off. That's the old cross member mount point there. That can go away. Trim that off. We'll lay this bottom piece on here and we'll see how all three of these pieces fit together. Give her a little bend here. Pushing on my chassis table a little at a time. Can you see it? Not really, it's down here. I'm just gently pushing on it. I'm trying not to make any creases. And we'll get it right close in there. All right, here's where we're at. We got a decent fit right now. On this end, for this little bottom angle right here, I just stuck it in the vise, gave her the old heave-ho. I went a little too much, so I brought it back just by flattening it on the, just right here with a dead blow. This is looking pretty promising. Let's go look at the inside. All right, on the inside, I don't have any clamps in here right now, but this is pretty, the edge of this is almost flush with this. Still need to get rid of that. And I can see we got a big gap here. So I think once I trim this nice, just take this and extend it out, make it disappear somewhere in here, just cut that off, and then bring this up, we'll have a nice seam. Flush fit here is not real desirable, although it wouldn't take much to just take the corner off of this plate with a flap disc and make a, V-groove for the weld to sit in. So I think, maybe that's the next thing. No, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take all these pieces and I'm gonna transfer all the cuts to the plates for the other side of the car. I might not cut those plates yet, but I want to have all the everything marked out, so it should be really easy to make those other ones fit. Because this side is basically mirrored, except for distance here and here. If you were to measure from back in the corner, this side, the opening on the driver's side, is slightly, I don't remember which way it is. It's just slightly off from the passenger side. All right, well, it's now the next day and I've completely forgot what my next step was going to be. That's that ADHD brain. I had it all planned out yesterday, but it's gone now. But I think I want to notch this front here where this bolt goes. I think it's for the bumper mount. We're just going to notch that out quick a minute. I just had a marker here. There we go. Yeah, bumper mount. Crusty, gross. I don't know if there's really a reason to worry about stress up here in the front, but I think I'll just turn that into a fish mouth. Lots of clearance. We'll clean it up, get going. Okay, we are ready to go. This piece has been trimmed down here, cleaned around it. We're gonna clamp it in tight. It looks like I missed one little spot of primer. I came in and primered the big bare spots behind where these panels go, and I primered the back sides of these panels. So we're just not gonna have, a colony of rust in here. It all went well, except for the addition of one hole. No, it went fine. I just didn't plan on doing it. I added a hole to this outside plate just to link it to the frame rail better. I don't know if it's necessary. It probably isn't necessary, but it's there. We'll weld it up, just a little plug weld. I don't think I see anything else we need to do right now before we weld. So I'm gonna get the clamps on here, do final fit up, and get it tacked in place. And if everything looks good, we're gonna weld it. Somebody's gonna tell me that I'm forgetting something. Oh, I know one thing. If you're familiar with these, there's something missing. Does anybody know what it is? The notch on this side. A lot of times, these kits will have a notch here for a spring. But we're running coilovers, and those should be smaller diameter spring that shouldn't need a notch or will need a small notch. So if we need a notch in this side, we're going to do it later when we get the coilover springs installed. That's not going to bother me to come back and do it later, because I don't want to take a big notch out if we don't need to. It's that simple. All right. Well, usually when I weld my clamp to my workpiece, it's usually a sign that maybe I should be done for the day. And where's the clock? Yeah, that's pretty accurate right now. This is just about as far as I'm going to make it today. I was hoping to get this whole side welded in, cleaned up, so you can see it finished all in one video. But I think you get the idea. This is really coming together solid. I do have some problem areas. I have some pinholes up here, and on the other side, well, I'll bring you over so you can see. Wherever there are 2 layers of factory sheet metal, and I'm welding either on the edge of that or melting the top far enough that, well, that it'll weld. When that top layer becomes molten, whatever's between those 2 layers is heated up and it's trying to escape. That's probably what I was fighting on the subframe connectors, and I'm not enthusiastic about that right at this moment, because there's a lot of weld on that outside flange. Well, let me show you. Come over here. All right. Yeah, you see that? That is kind of, that's not so bad. Yeah, look at all the BBs, all the spatter. Even this weld right here, I had to go over, I had tack over top of the tack because it didn't want to melt through right. I should probably grind that off and re-tack it. There, that's the one that blew out and gave me trouble. So wherever I have 2 layers, and you can see, here's the bottom plate we're adding. There's actually 2 layers of factory metal there. Oh, you can kind of see it. Whatever's between those, it's kind of gross. So I'm going to come back next weekend and wrap this up. Like I said before, I didn't get quite as far as I wanted, but we're making progress. 1 bite at a time, right, Mike? And if you've made it this far in the video, maybe you have some interest in doing this yourself, make sure you hop over to Patreon and check out the files I have over there and the video explaining why these are the shape they are, why they are the thickness they are, and what you can do if you want to make your own. All right? I I got 10 minutes left. Maybe I should clean up.